sent the email because the boss only and only said that I have not sent this email, and only on the basis of a verbal affidavit, this entire case was disqualified. So when I took up this matter, and as I said earlier, I have some background of cyber forensics and cyber investigation. So when I took some clues from my experience in the cyber forensics domain, we actually found out that this email ID has been used from somewhere in the actual vicinity of the office. And when we dig deeper, we actually came to know that it is not the boss, but it is one of the female team members that was actually doing this. So the point I'm trying to make here is that it is very necessary to be aware and sensitized from the side of the public and from the side of the employer as well, from the side of the judiciary and from the side of the government authorities as well. Because this act is fairly new, it is just a 7-year-old act, and it is not competent to maybe deal with issues related to evidence to be taken in the form of in the form of in the digital form as it is called. I also explained in the morning that what are the various forms of sexual harassment. So the various forms of sexual harassment include physical contacts and advances, any unwanted hugging, kissing, or touching a female employee which makes her feel uncomfortable will come into the foray or the gambit of physical contacts and advances. Then demand or request for sexual favors, even an indirect demand, or even saying something that okay, why don't you meet me alone tonight at my place, will also formulate into the gambit of sexual harassment. Then making sexually colored remarks, like calling someone names, or degrading someone on the basis of the skin, of their skin color, that also forms a part of sexual harassment. Then there are two other things, which is showing pornography, which is self-explanatory, and any other unwelcomeable physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature. So all these things form a part of sexual harassment, and these actions or behavior constitutes sexual harassment of a woman at the particular workplace. Then we also spoke about the internal complaints mechanism that any company has. So I'll just take you through that part once again because I feel that that is very important. The committee starts with the presiding officer, who shall be a woman at a senior position, maybe the director, manager, or if the woman is a CEO, even a CEO, even a woman CEO can become the presiding officer of this committee. She would be leading the functioning of the committee, and the mandatory factor is that the woman should be at an administrative or a managerial position in the company. Then the second part is two more members from amongst the employee who are committed towards the cause of women, or who have experience in dealing with women issues, or someone who has a legal background. So even a lawyer can become a part of the internal complaints mechanism. Coming to the third and very important part of the committee member is one external member that is appointed from the non-governmental organization who has experience in dealing with issues related to women empowerment or issues related to sexual harassment. Now, as I explained in the morning, what is why is this member so important? First of all, it is the motive of the act that the internal complaints committee should be impartial and unbiased. So, whenever an external member is joining in such particular committee, even if there is connivance between the other internal committee members, since they are related to the office, impartial and independent judgment should be passed by the committee. So, in other words, to keep a watch on the other two members, the external member is there. But on a serious note, I would also like to say that the external member is a subject matter expert. So whenever we have a subject matter expert, it basically eases out the things, or when there are complex cases or complex incidences of sexual harassment. When I say complex, where for example, I can tell you that when there is a platonic relationship going on between the boy and the girl, and due to some misunderstanding, they stop talking, and later on a sexual harassment complaint is submitted against him. So, in order to understand this particular part or this complexities of the sexual harassment incidents, An external member is actually needed to look at from a third party angle that how does a particular case look and how to address this particular incidence of sexual harassment. Again, a lot of people ask me that can men be a part of the sexual harassment committee? So let me tell you and let me clear the air by saying that yes, male members can be a part of the sexual harassment committee, although at least one half of the members should be women. So they want the basic majority to be women. Some practical tips that while formulating the internal complaints committee are that first of all you should always have a odd a committee having odd number of members. What would happen is that when the decision the time of giving decision comes and a majority is needed, the odd number definitely helps you out. Secondly, it is very necessary to train and sensitize the internal complaints committees, because in the internal complaints committees, I've seen lot of scenarios wherein the internal complaint committee themselves tell the female victim to take back the complaint, not directly, but by telling her, okay, वो लड़के ने तो sorry बोला है, आप complaint वापस क्यों नहीं लेती हो? So this is not the way a complaint should be, or a serious incidents like sexual harassment should be handled. So this comes to the part of what is the government mechanism and what is the government doing in order to resolve these issues or incidences of sexual harassment. Now, where we lost the connection is that you might definitely want to ask me that what is the government doing from his side to ensure that a woman is given a sexual harassment free or a harassment free workplace to live in, or to work in. So let me tell you that the government has constituted the local complaints committee, LCC it is called. So the LCC, or the local complaints committee, is set up by the government at every district level, and it is mandatory for every district to have a local complaints committee. Now, the district magistrate or the additional district magistrate or the collector or the deputy collector shall be called as the district officer, and they will carry out the required functions under this act. Now, if this district officer will actually in the district concerned, they will actually constitute a committee which is called as the local complaints committee to receive complaints of sexual harassment from establishments where an internal complaints committee has not been instituted, because there are less than 10 workers in that particular organization. Now, also let us discuss that what should be the composition of this local complaints committee. So the local complaints committee starts with the chairperson. Now, in this local complaints committee, the chairperson should head the locals complaint committee and lead the functioning of the committee. Now, one of the very important key points for the chairperson to be selected is that the chairperson shall be a woman, an eminent woman, as they say it in the act, who is doing social work or who is dedicated to the cause of women. Friends, please try to understand that the reason that the government wants, or this act has basically made more number of women be a part of this particular committee, is that the issue to be addressed, or the motive over here, is to create a sexual harassment free environment. And who better than another woman can understand the plight or the condition that another woman is. So that is one of the reasons that they are trying to include a lot of women members in this particular committee. Coming to the other members of the local complaints committee, there shall be one member to be nominated from the women who are working in the block or the taluka or the tehsil or the municipality of that particular district. Now, there are also two more members, of whom at least one shall be woman, who shall be nominated from such non-governmental organizations or associations which are committed to the cause of women, or a person who is familiar in dealing with issues related to sexual harassment. Now, one of the very mandatory requirements of the local complaints committee is that at least one of the members should have background or knowledge of law. And entire of this committee, the term of the chairpersons and the other members shall not exceed 3 years. So if you compare the local complaints committee and the internal complaints committee, one similarity that the act has or one liability that the act has put on both the committee is to have an external member. So I hope, friends, you understand what is, the importance of an impartial and unbiased external member from the NGO. Now, I would also like to take you through the main part in the sense that how does a woman make a complaint? What is the procedure? What is the timeline? So let me tell you, as per the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act, any aggrieved woman can make a complaint to the Internal Complaints Committee or the Local Complaints Committee within 3 months from the date of any incidents of sexual harassment. And if a woman is incompetent to draft the complaint or to file the complaint, it is the duty that has been bestowed upon the companies or the ICC or the LCC to make any assistance as to make the complaint. And if the ICC or the LCC does not help the woman, it is a gross violation of the provisions of this act. Another important point that comes when you talk about when to file a complaint or how to file a complaint. Another very important part over here is that sorry. Another very important part in this particular act is that what should this particular complaint cover. So, in my experience in dealing with a lot of sexual harassment cases, I see that a lot of women, while making a complaint, even a written complaint, they are missing to give details such as the time, the date, the place, or the occurrence, which makes their own complaint weak and getting justice becomes difficult. I have seen a lot of cases wherein the women have not been able to give, evidences in the form of videos, in the form of call recordings, in the form of, voice chats, and they have not, submitted these evidences. And during the time of investigation, the respondent or the male person who is accused, his defense counsel definitely takes up this matter that why these details were not given, and now when you are submitting these details, this is an afterthought. So a request to all the innocent victims, or any woman that who is working in an organization wherein such incidents has happened, please guide her to put in all the dates, the probable time, if there are any witnesses, if there are any evidences in the form of letters, emails, call recordings, photos, please include them in the part of the complaint. Now, once we have covered that what should the complaint cover, we are now going to cover what is the procedure for investigation and inquiry. So after first of all receiving a complaint under this particular sections of this act, it is mandatory for the committee to first of all go ahead and initiate an inquiry and investigation into the matter. Now, let me also give you a very important information that the Internal Complaints Committee or the Local Complaints Committee has the power of the district court for the purpose of investigation. Now, at the time of investigation, what sort of powers should be vested in this committee, or what sort of powers should be exercised by this committee? So, as I said, that they have the powers of the district court. So, summoning and enforcing the attendance of any person and examining him or oath. Requiring the discovery or production of important documents, giving an opportunity of being heard to the male counterpart, which includes taking his statement and reply on the complaint, and taking on record the evidence and proofs given by him. Now, the the role of the committee doesn't end here. It is important for the committee to recognize that in 90% of the cases today, The evidence is given in the form, in digital form. There may be SMSs, there may be text, there may be emails, there may be photographs. So with the advancement of technology, there are also certain kind of fake softwares available wherein even without knowing the password of a particular email, an email can be generated from that particular account. So it is very necessary for the internal complaints committee to be appraised and aware of the various digital forensics methods without which the investigation would not be a fair and free one. And when the investigation is not a fair and free investigation, it violates the principles of natural justice, which again violates the fundamental rights of any human being. Also, giving an opportunity of being heard is one of the primary principles of justice, and hence an opportunity of putting his side of the story shall be given to the male counterpart. I was handling a case in which the male counterpart was not allowed to submit his evidences, and just on the basis of the complaint, he was actually terminated from his working place. So when he made a complaint, or when he made the appeal in front of the labor commissioner, that is when this entire thing was taken onto the record and the case was investigated in the proper manner. So make sure that all the when you're filing a complaint, you are giving all the proofs or witnesses and evidences in any form that are required, and make sure that the internal complaints committee or the local complaints committee is able to appreciate the evidence that is presented before them. Now, there is also a timing for the inquiry and investigation. This inquiry and investigation shall be complete within 90 days from the time the complaint was received. Now, once we finish with the inquiry and procedure, there is a time wherein we have to do a report for the findings of the investigation. So a detailed report of the findings of the investigation shall be submitted to the employer by the internal complaints committee or the local complaints committee, and the same copy shall be given to the district officer if the investigation has been carried out by the local complaints committee. A copy of this report shall be given to the aggrieved woman as well as against the male counterpart against whom such complaint has been made. If you don't submit the report, and if a person wants to appeal, it again becomes a gross violation from the side of the internal complaints committee, because as per some of the sections of this act, it makes it mandatory for the copy of the report to be given to both the parties. And any lapse in that again makes your case weaker, and in case an appeal is preferred, then due to a botched investigation, there are chances that you might lose the case. Now, such report shall be submitted within a time frame of 10 days to the employer if it is the ICC, or to the district officer if it is the LCC. So now there are first of all 3 scenarios. Let us divide it into part A, part B, and part C. Now let's start with part A. Now this is a scenario when no sexual harassment is deduced after the inquiry and investigation. So when the internal complaints committee or the local complaints committee comes to a conclusion that no sexual harassment has taken place, the ICC or the LCC shall make a very clear note of this in the inquiry and investigation report and send this report to the employer or the district officer, recommending that no action needs to be taken against the male counterpart and he should be freed or acquitted of the charges. Now let's come to part B. Part B is when the complaint is found to be malicious. So as per the statistics, it is said that 25% of the complaints are actually false complaints that are filed against the male counterpart. So in order to address this issue and to ensure that a non-gender biased or a gender equal justice is granted to the victim or to the male counterpart. This particular provision has been inserted in this particular act. So when the complaint is found to be malicious, again the ICC or the LCC will submit this report in writing to the employer or to the district officer, and it will very strictly make a note to either terminate her or to prosecute her against the various sections of IPC, which include criminal breach of trust, which include cheating, which also includes a fraudulent activity or any sort of forgery when digital evidences are submitted in a forced manner. Now, again, the last part, which is part C, is when the complaint is proved and the male counterpart is found to be guilty. So, during the course of investigation and inquiry, when the ICC or the LCC comes to a conclusion that sexual harassment has taken place and it has been proved beyond reasonable doubt that an harassment incident has occurred and a woman is has suffered due to such a sexual harassment incident, then they will again make a report in a way that making a recommendation against the person that he should be either strictly punished for the misconduct by either terminating him, or even the monetary compensation can be what do you say, monetary compensation can also be granted to the aggrieved woman in certain cases. If a person is not able to pay this monetary compensation, then that will added as a arrear of land revenue, and the same shall be forwarded to the concerned district officer. If only and only if all the above procedures are followed, only then I would say that a proper investigation has taken place, and if not, then it has been an unfair investigation, and the respondent here is the male counterpart, who can get the complaint squashed in an appeal or order for a reinvestigation also. Now, what is the procedure for appeals? Now, it happens that either the aggrieved woman or the person against whom the action is taken, he's not happy with the recommendations or he's not happy with the final investigation report made by the committee. So the act has also provided a chance of him making an appeal with the necessary labor authorities, provided this appeal is made within 90 days. Now, there is also a very important part that talks about the conciliation procedures for in such sexual harassment cases. So there is a particular section in the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act, wherein there are certain procedures that have been prescribed in order to provide conciliation for this particular type of an incidence. But please let me tell you, friends, that this conciliation should actually be offered from the side of the woman. As I gave you an example, when I was handling a case, I saw one of the internal complaints committee guiding or trying to tamper the woman into saying that okay, the male counterpart has said sorry, so why don't you go ahead and reconcile the matter? It might spoil your career. It is a black mark on the career. So I would, this is absolutely a wrong process of conciliation. Any conciliation being offered by the internal complaints committee should first be, should be first of all condemned and should not be, taken into consideration. Any member who's trying to coax you into resolving this matter, or who's trying to subdue you into squash this matter or remove this complaint or to take back this complaint, an official complaint against such ICC member needs to be registered with the presiding officer. Now, I will also tell you a scenario wherein what actually happened is that the internal complaints committee in one of the offices. So the presiding officer was, one of the relatives of the owner of the company. and she was also working at a senior position, being the relative of that particular employee. So most of the functionings used to happen as per the whims and fancies of this presiding officer. And when such a sexual harassment incident occurred in that particular place, she actually refused to, take the complaint, or and she also threatened this particular female victim to say that if she files a complaint, another disciplinary action or a false case of data theft shall be actually put on her, and she will be falsely implicated in this matter. Now everyone, wants their job, or everyone is so, in this troubled times, when there are, the job situation is not that great in India. Everyone wants, to secure their job, everyone wants to make a career, but I would always request everyone that this job or this career should not be made at the cost of your modesty and integrity as a woman. So, if any such incidences at your workplace occur wherein the internal complaint committee is found to be biased, a strict report needs to be made to the local complaints committee. So, let's take a scenario wherein, the presiding officer itself is, in connivance with the company, and justice is not granted. Then such type of complaints shall be made to the district officer. If one of the members of the internal complaints committee is biased towards one particular person, then you have to make sure that such complaint is made with the presiding officer of the internal complaints committee. Now this particular act also, puts some implications in terms of the in criminal charges on the particular offender. So if the girl, if if a woman makes a complaint, or if a incident of sexual harassment occurs in a particular workplace, it is the duty of every employer to ensure that that the company staff or the internal complaints committee helps them to actually go ahead and file a complaint under section 509 of the Indian Penal Code or section 354 of the Indian Penal Code. If such assistance is not granted, that would be also considered a violation of the provisions of this act. Now there are certain things that I would like to take you through in terms of what are the duties of an employer. So one of the first and foremost important duties of the employer is to provide a safe and sound and a sexual harassment free working environment or workplace. It is mandatory for every employer to constitute an internal complaints mechanism called the internal committee. It was earlier called as internal complaints committee, but there was a modification in the year 2016, which turned the internal complaints committee into internal IC, internal committee. So it is mandatory to constitute an internal committee for managing and handling sexual harassment complaints. It is very mandatory for the employer to display at any conspicuous place in the workplace the names and the contact details of the internal complaint members, the name of the presiding officer, the name of the other two members, the name of the external member. The name and the details should always be visible at a conspicuous place. It is also mandatory for the employer to display the penal consequences of any sexual harassment. So a small suggestion to the employers who are a part of this forum is that if they are you're running a business wherein even there are female employees, they should definitely make sure that the sexual harassment policy is kept at a very conspicuous place in the office where it is visible and accessible to anybody. Because I have seen a lot of cases wherein the aggrieved woman has made a complaint that she was not aware about the company having an internal complaints committee. She was not aware about having an external member. She was not aware that the company has a complaints mechanism to handle sexual harassment complaints. So when such complaints are being made, As a part of the recommendation, the employer can be fined. It is also necessary to organize workshops and awareness programs at regular intervals for creating sensitization among the employees, that with the view that they should be, in line or in tune with the provisions of this act, and there should be also be refresher trainings or orientation programs for members of the internal complaints committee. Now this orientation programs should look at skill building, should look at, enhancing their knowledge, should look at teaching them new investigative procedures. uh, they should give them more sort of a counseling in terms of how to handle and how to address a sexual harassment incidents at workplace, because any bias, any partiality to any of the parties can result in a gross violation of the provisions of this act. Now, also let us talk about the penalties. Now, there are certain kind of penalties in case of the non-compliance of the POSH Act. So right now, whatever five, six things that I said, to give you a synopsis: provide a safe working environment for women, constitute an internal complaints mechanism, display at a conspicuous place the penal consequences of sexual harassment, display at a conspicuous place the names and the contact details of the internal complaints committee, organize workshops and awareness programs, organize orientation sessions for the committee members, and assist the woman to file a police complaint if required. If there is any sort of non-compliance in any of these particular things that I told you now, should result in the employer paying a penalty of 50,000 rupees. Also, one of the new sections or the new amendments or some new judgments that have come up also tell us that now when any person is constituting a company, it is necessary for him to make a declaration before the registrar of company at the time of registration of companies that his company is POSH compliant. A particular note or a write-up saying that this company has an internal complaints mechanism, this company is aware of the Sexual Harassment of Workplace Act and its provisions, and it promises to comply with the provisions of this act. Such undertaking needs to be given to the registrar of companies, which is popularly known as the ROC, at the time of filing any application for registration of company. Now, some new things that the government has also introduced to take a step further in order to ensure that a woman has a free and stress-free and a harassment-free working environment is that the Ministry of Child and Women Development, sorry, Women and Child Development. So this Ministry of Women and Child Development, they have actually opened up a website by the name of Shebox, SHEBOX .nic.in. So in any case, if the internal complaints committee members are not accessible, they are biased, they are being partial, they are not listening to your complaint, they are not ready to take your complaint, they are not allowing you to file the complaint. All these things can be complained in the form of an online complaint to the Ministry of Women and Child Development. So the address is, once again, let me tell you, it is shebox.nic.in. You directly have to go in and log into the website, and you can make a complaint describing the exact details of the incidents. And even here, when you are making this complaint, please do make sure that all the details are mentioned in the complaint in terms of the dates, times, witnesses, evidences, digital, non-digital evidences, anything and everything that is related to the complaint should be a part of the complaint that you are making. The Shebox, the Ministry of Women and Development, that website has also given few contact details wherein you can directly contact them in case that the issue is grave. There are also manuals, there are also guidelines that are that are present in the form of a downloadable PDF, wherein you can read the manuals, you can understand the act, you can understand what are the incidences of sexual harassment, you can understand how to make a complaint. There are the procedures of the investigation and inquiry. Everything is mentioned in that particular, manual. So after we go ahead and talk about all these points, once again I would like to say, just to take an entire synopsis of this entire session, I would like to say that as you protect your physical assets, your integrity, your modesty also is your physical asset, and it needs to be protected. And as you put a strong lock, you should also put a strong lock to your integrity and modesty. And a woman should not be scared and should be afraid to go ahead and file the complaint. In order to, first of all, make a strong complaint, it is very necessary for the internal complaints committee to be impartial and unbiased. If there is any sort of biasness that has been displayed, please go ahead and make a complaint with the either the local complaints committee, and now you have the online complaint portal as well for you. So taking a 360-degree view of this entire scenario, once again, I would like to say that the awareness and sensitization should also come from the part of the judiciary, because this act is new. It is also necessary that the government authorities, like the labor authorities, should be more aware and should be more sensitized towards such issues of sexual harassment. By saying this, I would like to hereby conclude this session, and I would like to invite you to ask me if you have any questions in this particular subject. So I can see some of the questions here. I can see Rohit Pulara, who says that, "Hi Abhishek sir, what is the time limit of the appeal?" As I mentioned in the webinar, the appeal should be filed within 90 days of receiving the copy of the investigation or the inquiry. As soon as the 90-day time period is elapsed, application for condonation of delay needs to be given. So don't worry, even if it is like more than 90 days and there is a reasonable and just cause due to which the complaint has not been filed in the first 90 days, then by making an application explaining the reason for delay, the application can be entertained. I can see one more question. Ishpreet Singh. Okay, very good question. Are domestic workers covered under the POSH Act? For example, a maid working in house. To directly, first of all, answer your questions, yes, Mr. Singh, that it is definitely that the domestic workers are covered under the POSH Act, because our household comes into the gambit of an unorganized sector. So an unorganized sector is also, something that is not registered as a company, but can do business without even registration. Like for example, there are a lot of companies who are working on a freelance basis. So they are not registered as a private limited company or a limited liability partnerships. They are functioning solely as the basis of a sole proprietor on the basis of a shop act. So all these companies, even your house, even some of the hospitals, government establishments, they come into the foray of unorganized sector. Even you must have heard of the daily wage workers that are also employed by certain thekedars. Even female daily wage workers also come into the foray of into the gambit of Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act. And at the working place or at the working site or at their construction site, wherever they are working, if there is any incidence of sexual harassment, it is definitely falling into the gambit of this act. Okay, so I'll take the next question. What if a man suffers from sexual harassment? This question has been asked by Shubhangi Pandey. And Shubhangi, let me tell you that if you look at the Indian Penal Code, there are 511 sections, out of which only two sections have been granted to protect the integrity and modesty of a woman. So there was nothing which could actually protect a working woman from any sort of harassment. And when the cases started increasing, when the Vishaka guideline came in, all these things, took a turn and formed the Sexual Harassment Act. So yes, if to answer your question, if a man suffers from sexual harassment at workplace, he always has the option to file a complaint under the relevant sections of the Indian Penal Code, which includes assault, which includes criminal intimidation, which includes criminal force, which includes you know conspiracy. I won't say conspiracy, depends on the type of assault or the type of harassment that is facing, but these 3 4 sections would definitely be applicable, and the person against whom such act has been committed, he can definitely use this and go ahead and make a complaint with the local police station. I can see one more question, that so which is the monitoring government authority whether any company complying the POSH Act in their working premises. Smita, let me tell you that we spoke about the local complaints committee that is necessary and that is mandatory, that should be formed in every district. So if you ask me which is the government authority who is monitoring it from this side, it is the local complaints committee, or you can more precisely say it is the district officer. Because if there are any lapses, if there are any violations by the internal complaints committee, the complaint can directly be made to the presiding officer of the local complaints committee or the district officer, which is the district magistrate or the additional district magistrate, collector, or the deputy collector. Let me see just if I have some more questions. Ash Diman has asked me, does workplace include schools, colleges, or just companies? Good question once again. Yes, the workplace also includes schools, it also includes colleges, it also includes tuition classes, it also includes hospitals, it includes each and every place where there are more than where there are female employees who are employed or who are working on contract. So at all these places, this this sexual harassment at workplace act will be applicable. What is the limitation period to file the complaint? Again, Ash Diman has asked me this question. The limitation period to file the complaint is 3 months from the 3 months from the last incidents. Like for example, if there are 7 8 series of incidences that have occurred, so from 3 months from the date of the last incident, anytime during that you can go ahead and make an application. You can also see this provision of basically 3 months was given so that if there are a series of incidences and if a woman is not able to speak out or muster the courage to speak out at the first instance itself, that should not violate her right of working in a safe and sound working environment. Because let me tell you friends, that this act is made in order to protect the right to life that is guaranteed by the Constitution of India. So this is a very serious act and which should be taken very seriously. Okay, let me see if we have any other questions. Okay, I think that the list of questions is over, and I would pass it back to Pringle, who can take this session forward or conclude this session.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for such a great, informative webinar, and hope to collaborate with you for new sessions like our guests also want us to do. And thank you everyone to connect with us on this webinar. And I hope everyone has jotted down the important points which sir have shared with us. And I think, sir, Pappu Kumar has asked a question. If you can answer it.
Yes, there are certain landmark cases. Okay, one of the landmark cases, I don't actually remember the exact name of the case, but in this landmark case which occurred in the year 2016, That is where the importance of an external member was highlighted. So in this particular case, what happened is that the internal complaints committee was not able to appreciate and understand this fact that a particular sexual harassment scenario has happened, and for that, without doing the proper amount of inquiry and investigation, the matter को रफा दफा कर दिया था. तो ऐसे केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट में they had filed a petition wherein due to the not taking the recommendations of the external member was considered to be a gross violation, and the acquittal order of the male counterpart was quashed, and he was again prosecuted for charges. Before we end this session, I would just like to make a very small appeal to all the viewers that were, present for this session. I would please request you all to make sure that before you join any company, instead of only talking about your job role, your job functions, and your salary, please ask them that if this company has an internal complaints mechanism. This is specifically for your own safety, because if you are not bothered about the safety of your own safety, please do not expect anyone to come ahead and help you out in that. Self-help is the first help, so it's a humble request specifically to all the women working in companies to please ask their respective employer that does this company have a sexual harassment policy, does this company have an internal complaints mechanism. Please check all these information before you join a particular company. Thank you so much. I will again pass it back for the conclusion part to Pringle.
Okay. Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone who has connected with us. Hope to join with you all people soon on another webinar on another topic. And thank you, sir. We will meet you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, and be safe, and take care, everyone. Thank you.